Good afternoon, professor. Today I will talking about one of my favorite games, Finest at Freddy's. To understand the story of Finest at Freddy's, you have to forget that these are games and really take this serious for what this is. Horror, yes, but above all, science fiction. What would happen if two friends opened a pizzeria? That is the first question we must ask ourselves. Normally, everything will go reasonably, whilst with some problems, but nothing will go beyond that. The question changes completely if we ask ourselves what will happen if Henry and William opened a pizzeria. Who are these characters? At first, they were great friends. Henry, on the one hand, was a passionate and talented mechanic who took care of his only daughter, Charlie. We know nothing about his wife, not even if he has anyone else in family. And on the other hand, William Afton. Afton families consist of five members. William, a wealthy man with a knack for mechanics, his youngest daughter Elizabeth. This jerk whose name we know, no, but who cries all the time, so let's call him Crying Child. And Michael Afton is eldest son and his wife, about whom nothing is known. These two characters combine their mechanical skills and William's savings to open a restaurant. That's how between on the 1918 and 1982, Fredbear Family Dinner supposedly opens its doors. The main attraction of this place was animatronic. What are they? Well, basically, they were robots could be controlled as built themselves by people or by souls. These animatronics had been developed by the restaurant owners, but Henry stood out a little more because he made a complex system of springs that allowed the person to wear the suit. However, one had to be extremely careful, otherwise the mechanisms will activate and the person inside will surely be injured. These hybrid suits would initially give a birth to their main success. Fredbear Spring Bonnie, two animatronic that had caused sensation during the 1980. And these two friends were joined well that competition began to arrive. And that is why a few months after the release of Fredbear Family Dinner, their competition, Fazbear Entertainment, will arrive, but it will not be relevant until the future. At the same time, friction begins to arise between the main duo. As William had not only opened the restaurant to serve food, but behind his intentions lies something much darker, killing people. That is why, on no date, William creates a new venue, Circus Baby Pizza World, where he would introduce his new animatronics, the Fun Time. These animatronics were made by Afton Robotics, which, as you can imagine, was William Company. Although the Funtime were not normal animatronic, and although they had very innovative features compared to the first hybrid suites. These Funtimes were created specifically to kill. They had very advanced artificial intelligence which could open different parts of their bodies. and could speak. Clearly, they did not have a good intentions, but everything will turn against William when, until very the day of an opening of his venue, despite his warnings to Elizabeth. She entered the room where the animatronics were kept to see if her favorite robot, Baby, was there, and after this animatronic offered her ice cream to get her to come closer, she killed. Or, well, not quiet. Meanwhile, let's remember that William too. All the children had already been captured inside the animatronic because the opening of his establishment had been completely successful. So he alerts everyone to a gas leak so that they have to evacuate the premise and he can go and see his reward. When Williams goes to see if his animatronics have captured children, yes, they have. We know this because the animatronic blueprints show bodies inside his robots, but William also relays that his main animatronic has killed Elizabeth, or rather his daughter, was taking control of Baby, because the animatronic eyes changed from blue to green, the same color as his daughter, Ace. Of course, when William found out about this, he didn't know what to do. So he decided to look her up in Circus Baby Entertainment, a place located below Circus Baby. After the closure of Circus Baby and the uncertainty of what happened to his younger daughter, these things will begin to affect William often, making the beginning of decline. Therefore, after a failure of Circus Baby, he once again asked Henry for help and work. Again, despite all the problems he had with his former partner, Henry gives him a job as an administrator or mechanic, which is weak he can be seen footing. Fredbear heads on the Fredbear family dinner employment. During this month in the year we assume to be 1883. Henry created an announcement or animatronic on television, which will be Freddy, Foxy, Chica, and Bonnie. Of course, William, seeing that he had created more animatronics, will increase the tension with his new boss. But what would really drive William crazy would be the death of Jones's son, the crying child, or crying kid. Do you remember Mike, William eldest son? Well, this character scares crying child to no end, and while his torment is only younger brother, William overprotected his younger son, putting off cameras all over the house and giving him a stuffed animals he created himself, so he could talk to it and feel comfortable. All this despite William's psychopathic behavior. Served to watch over his younger son so that he will run off to see animatronic, which crying child we facing it by but William Afton, having created the first two suites with Henry, knew what they could do and how dangerous they were. Which is he is so overprotective, but now let's go back. Now Let's go back a theory between Finance at Freddy's 4 and the Twisted Ones. The first book supposedly Finance at Freddy's 4 will take place in the Crying Child nightmares. But the truth is that not. The nightmare is see are real and not but a dream of child. As they are a part of very macabre plan is planned by his father. You see, in the Twisted One novel, William creates a disc that causes hallucinations with animatronic, exaggerations, tear apart, size, etc. Something like the Batman movie where Scarecrow has a sprite to make you overstand fears. And how it relates to this game? The theme of hallucinations, not Batman. Has nothing to Batman here. Well, we go back to Final Freddy's, the Ultimate Custom Night, where the animatronic appears in this game, but in this game we control William, so impossible for William to know exactly what those animatronics are like if there are actually jointed some nightmares. In other words, how do you know exactly what other people's nightmares are? So, if we go back to the first book where we are introduced to the idea that William often creates illusory discs to make people believe things that not really exist, and he would use them make people believe and he would use this with Crying Child to make him stay away from animatronics for good. That's why we never see him school his older son for mistreating his little brother, because he was traumatizing him with the animatronic, which suited William, although William's mistake was to trust Michael too much, because he didn't know where to draw the line with the joke. Since Mike was scaring his brother just for fun, and the problem would erupt in 1983, in the place where it all began and ended Fredbear family dinner. Mike and his friends forced Crying Child to the restaurant to continue teasing them with the animatronic on his birthday. And continuing with the joke, they put him in Fredbear modes, pretending that he was going to eat him, and unfortunately, he didn't just pretend. And as I said at the beginning, Henry's brain system was sensitive. So when a child was put inside mode, the switch closed on Crying Child's head. And after that, the mini Afton enters a coma, where all the animatronics he knew and the stuffed animal William had given are. Where this screams implies that his father is saying is the last words to the son, asking him to forgive him and saying two phrases that will lead to many theories. You are broken, I will revolt you. This is all for Finest at Freddy's 4, the history of my favorite game. Thanks